Prestige High School was no ordinary school. It was a glittering bubble in the heart of Lagos, filled with the children of politicians, oil magnates, and business moguls. Among the sea of students, 4 girls reigned supreme: Amoka, Cynthia, Bimbo, and Toke. They were called the queens. Everyone knew them. Everyone feared them. Everyone wanted to be them. Their polished shoes, designer bags, and expensive perfumes announced their presence before they spoke a word. They were more than students, they were influencers of their time, trendsetters who dictated what was fashionable in Prestige High. Every boy dreamed of dating them, and every girl secretly wanted their life. But beneath the shining surface of their glamour, their kingdom was built on shaky foundations: vanity, envy, and deceit. The queen's daily routine was simple: skip boring classes, sneak into clubs with fake IDs, and hunt for rich boyfriends who could shower them with money and gifts. Their favorite saying was, "Soft life or no life." Bimbo loved flaunting her new wigs, Toke collected the latest iPhones, and Cynthia boasted about her sugar daddy's flashy car rides. Amoka, though just as stylish, was different. She laughed with her friends, wore the same glossy lipstick, and danced at their parties, but deep inside she carried a nagging emptiness. Unlike her friends, she craved something genuine, something that didn't come wrapped in cash or designer labels. She kept this secret buried, afraid of being mocked by the very girls she called sisters. One hot afternoon, while the queens strutted home from school, Amoka's eyes landed on a boy selling roasted corn by the roadside. His uniform was worn but neat, and his smile carried a warmth that pierced through the noise of traffic and chatter. His name was Chaik, a scholarship student who attended Prestige High but could never mix with the likes of them. While her friends laughed at the corn boy, Amoka felt something stir within her. She slowed her steps, letting their mockery fade into the background. For the first time, she saw a boy not as a wallet, but as a person. Their eyes met briefly, and Amoka quickly looked away, her heart thudding like the drums at a village festival. She didn't know it yet, but her world had begun to shift. Cynthia noticed Amoka's stolen glance and smirked knowingly. "Don't tell me you're admiring that roasted corn seller," she whispered with cruel laughter. The others joined in, teasing Amoka about her poverty taste. Amoka forced a laugh to hide her embarrassment, but inside, her spirit wrestled with confusion. Why did she feel drawn to someone her friends considered beneath them? Later that evening, Amoka couldn't sleep. Chaik's humble smile haunted her mind. Unlike the boys who flaunted wealth, Chaik seemed real. And though she tried to dismiss the thought, her heart whispered something dangerous: maybe true happiness isn't about money at all. The next day, Amoka pretended to have forgotten her notebook in class, letting her friends go ahead. As she walked alone, she spotted Chaik packing up his roasted corn stand. Summoning courage, she approached him. "Hi, you're Chaik, right? From class SS2B." Her voice trembled slightly. Chaik looked surprised but smiled warmly. "Yes, I am. You're Amoka, right? One of the queens." His tone carried no mockery, only respect. They spoke briefly, and in that short moment, Amoka felt freer than she ever had at any club or party. But as she turned to leave, Cynthia's voice cut through the air, sharp and dangerous. She had doubled back and seen everything. Cynthia didn't waste time. That night, she called a secret meeting with Bimbo and Toke. Her eyes glittered with mischief as she relayed what she had seen: Amoka, the loyal queen, speaking to the convoy. The girls gasped in mock horror, their laughter filling the air like venom. "This is dangerous," Cynthia hissed. "If Amoka keeps this up, people will start mocking us. Our image as queens depends on who we are seen with. Imagine being associated with roasted corn." They all laughed again, but beneath the jokes lay a decision: they would not let Amoka's budding interest in Chaik destroy the empire they had built. Meanwhile, Amoka's heart was racing with excitement. Every stolen glance at Chike in the corridors, every whispered hi during break time, felt like stolen treasure. For the first time, she felt alive, truly alive. Chike spoke with humility and wit, his words carrying a warmth that her rich admirers lacked. But Amoka knew she was treading on dangerous ground. Her friends despised boys without money, and worse still, the queens thrived on control. So, she began sneaking out of lunch breaks, claiming she had assignments, while instead she would linger by the school gate, waiting for a brief word with Chike. The thrill was intoxicating, but the risk was growing. It didn't take long before whispers began to spread. A junior student spotted Amoka laughing with Chike under a tree, and soon the whole school was buzzing with gossip. By the time the story reached the ears of the queens, it was painted in bold colors. Amoka, the stylish queen, had fallen for a poor roasted consoler. Bimbo was furious. "Do you know how this makes us look?" she snapped. Toke chimed in, "We built this reputation with sweat and lies, and she wants to destroy it with poverty love." Cynthia only smirked, enjoying the chaos she had planted. Amoka, sensing the storm, realized she couldn't hide forever. The confrontation happened during lunch break. In front of the whole cafeteria, Bimbo slammed her tray on the table and shouted, "Amoka, have you lost your mind? Or is poverty now sweet in your mouth?" Laughter and gasps echoed through the room. Amoka felt her cheeks burn, but she stood her ground. "Yes, I talked to Chike," she said firmly, her voice trembling but clear. "At least he's real, unlike the fake boys we chase who see us as trophies." The cafeteria went silent. The words cut deep, not just at her friends but at the whole culture the queens represented. For the first time, cracks appeared in their mighty throne. Humiliated, Cynthia decided Amoka had to be taught a lesson. That night, she hatched a plan, one that would not only humiliate Amoka but also drive Chike away from the school forever. She whispered her scheme to Bimbo and Toke, and though they hesitated, they agreed. Loyalty to the queens mattered more than loyalty to Amoka. The next day, Amoka noticed the shift. Her friends' smiles were sharp, their whispers hushed, their laughter edged with cruelty. Something was brewing, something darker than she had ever imagined. And as she walked home from school that evening, she had no idea that the first trap had already been set. Cynthia was a master planner. Unlike the others, she thrived on scheming, and her sharp tongue made her dangerous. Her plan was simple: tarnish Chike's reputation and make him unworthy of Amoka in everyone's eyes. If Chike could be expelled, even better. She whispered her idea to Bimbo and Toke. "We'll accuse him of stealing. Who would doubt us? We're the queens. He's poor, and poor people are always suspects." The girls hesitated, but Cynthia's words dripped with venomous persuasion. If Amoka insists on falling for him, let her fall into disgrace with him. The trap was set, all they needed was the right moment. The opportunity came quickly. During prep time, Toke deliberately left her brand new iPhone 14 Pro on the window ledge of their classroom. The phone disappeared within minutes. By morning, the school was buzzing with rumors. Toke's expensive phone was gone, and the blame was already falling on Chike, the scholarship boy who sold corn after school. Who else could it be? Cynthia fumed loudly in the cafeteria, ensuring enough ears heard her. "He's always broke. Of course he'd be tempted." Bimbo backed her up with crocodile tears, and Toke sniffled like a wounded victim. The teachers called Chike in for questioning, and Amoka's heart sank as whispers turned into accusations. Amoka fought for Chike. "He didn't do it. Chike isn't a thief," she pleaded with the teachers. But even as she spoke, tiny seeds of doubt crept into her heart. She had known him only a short while. Did she really know everything about him? Could love blind her to the truth? Chike, however, stood tall, his voice steady. "I did not steal the phone. I may be poor, but I am not a thief." His dignity in the face of humiliation shook Amoka to her core. The queens smirked in the background, enjoying the chaos they had created. For the first time, Amoka realized the full cruelty of the empire she belonged to. After school, Amoka confronted Cynthia privately. "Why are you doing this? Why are you so determined to destroy Chike?" Cynthia laughed coldly. "Because love is weakness, Amoka. And weakness destroys queens. You want to lower yourself for a convoy? Then be ready to fall with him." But Amoka wasn't ready to give up. That night, she sneaked to Chike's roasted corn stand, her heart pounding. "I believe you," she whispered. "I don't care what they say. We'll prove your innocence." Their hands touched briefly, a silent vow in the flickering glow of his charcoal fire. Neither of them knew Cynthia had seen them from across the street. The next day, the principal called an emergency assembly. The missing phone had become a scandal, and pressure from Toke's wealthy father forced the school to act. Chike stood before the students, accused of theft. His pockets were searched, his locker turned inside out, nothing was found. Just when it seemed he might be cleared, Cynthia stepped forward dramatically. "Sir, maybe he hid it somewhere else. We all know poor people are desperate." Gasps echoed through the hall. Amoka's chest tightened, rage mixing with fear. And then, at that very moment, Toke screamed, holding up her iPhone. "It's here. Someone slipped it into my bag." The hall erupted. The mystery deepened. Who planted it there? The question hung in the air like smoke. Amoka's eyes darted to Cynthia, who smiled knowingly. The trap had only just begun. The discovery of Toke's phone should have ended the drama, but instead it fueled the fire. The principal's stern face betrayed his frustration. "This matter is bringing shame to our school," he declared. "Until the truth is known, everyone involved will face consequences." The queen seized the moment. Cynthia raised her hand. "Sir, with all due respect, Chike's presence here is the real problem. People like him don't belong at Prestige High. They drag our reputation into the mud." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Amoka's eyes burned with fury. She stood up, her voice sharp. "Enough. This isn't about reputation. It's about jealousy. Cynthia is framing him because she can't stand me loving someone real." The hall went silent. A war line had been drawn. The confrontation carried into the corridors. The queens cornered Amoka near the lockers, their polished shoes clicking like the march of soldiers. "You've betrayed us," Bimbo hissed. "You chose a poor boy over your sisters." Toke folded her arms. "You'll regret this." Amoka straightened her back, her heart pounding. "You call yourself sisters, but sisters don't destroy each other's happiness. If standing by Chike makes me your enemy, then so be it." Her voice rang louder than she expected, drawing a crowd of students. Whispers grew, some siding with the queens, others secretly admiring Amoka's courage. Prestige High was no longer united. Even the staff room buzzed with the scandal. Some teachers agreed with Cynthia, "That boy doesn't belong here. He'll spoil our school's name." Others defended Chike. "He's hardworking, brilliant, and respectful. We can't let money blind us to the truth." The principal, caught between wealthy parents and the quest for justice, announced a hearing. Chike's scholarship would be reviewed. If suspicion lingered, he would be expelled. Amoka sat in the back of the classroom, trembling. It wasn't just about Chike anymore, it was about justice versus corruption. And she knew the queens would stop at nothing to win. The tension exploded during English class. The teacher had barely left the room when Cynthia turned to Amoka. "Enjoy your romance while it lasts. Soon, your boyfriend will be history." Laughter bubbled from the other queens. Amoka slammed her desk. "At least I'm not selling my soul for handbags and rides in old men's cars." The classroom froze. Cynthia's eyes widened, and whispers flew like wildfire. "Sugar daddy. Is it true? Students murmured. For the first time, Cynthia's flawless mask cracked. She forced a laugh, but her clenched fist told another story. Amoka had struck back, and hard. Humiliation cut deep. That evening, the queens gathered in Cynthia's bedroom, fury bubbling in their veins. She wants war. Cynthia sneered. Then war she shall have. They hatched a new plan, darker and more dangerous. They would set a trap so severe that Chike's expulsion would be guaranteed, and Amoka's reputation ruined forever. Meanwhile, Amoka sat with Chike by his roasted corn stand, pouring her heart out. They won't stop until they destroy us, she whispered. Chike squeezed her hand gently. Then we fight back, together. Truth always wins. His words soothed her, but the fire in Cynthia's smile the next morning promised that this war had only just begun. The queen's next trap was already in motion, bigger, bolder, and designed to leave no escape. Cynthia's brain worked like a spider's web, spinning deceit with precision. This time, the plan wasn't about a missing phone, it was bigger. We'll plant exam answers in Chike's locker, she declared, her voice dripping with satisfaction. When he's caught, he'll be expelled for malpractice. Bimbo and Toke hesitated. But that's too much. What if the school finds out it was us? Cynthia's eyes narrowed. Do you want to be ruled by Amoka? Do you want our empire to collapse because of a poor boy? Trust me, this will end him once and for all. The girls exchanged nervous glances, but in the end, loyalty to Cynthia's iron grip prevailed. Rumors were like wildfires in Prestige High. Before the trap was even set, whispers spread that the scholarship boy was too smart to be clean. Cynthia stoked the flames with sly remarks. Have you noticed how he always gets top scores? It's suspicious. By the time exams approached, students were already side-eyeing Chike, doubting his brilliance. Amoka, meanwhile, was oblivious to the whispers, caught up in stolen moments with Chike. One evening, under the fading glow of sunset, he told her, I don't just want to pass exams. I want to make my mother proud. She sacrificed everything for me. Amoka's heart swelled with admiration. She vowed silently to protect him, unaware that the storm was about to break. The night before the big exam, Cynthia and Bimbo crept into the classroom. With the janitor bribed to look the other way, they slipped neatly folded sheets of leaked exam answers into Chike's locker. Toke, trembling with guilt, whispered, This feels wrong. Cynthia shot her a glare. Weakness doesn't win wars. By morning, the trap was ready. When students filed into class, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. Teachers carried out a surprise search, rumored to be ordered by the principal himself. Amoka felt her stomach twist as they approached Chike's locker. Her intuition screamed, but it was too late. The teacher's hand froze mid-search, holding up a folded paper. Gasps filled the room. Exam malpractice, the teacher thundered. Chike, how dare you? The words echoed like gunfire. Chike's face drained of color, his mouth opening in protest. Sir, I swear, this isn't mine. I didn't, but no one listened. The whispers became shouts. We knew it. He's a cheat. Amoka pushed through the crowd. No. This is a setup. Someone planted those papers. Her voice cracked with desperation, but the tide was against her. The principal's face was grim. Until further notice, Chike, you are suspended. We will decide your scholarship after an inquiry. The hall buzzed with chaos as Chike was led away, shoulders slumped. Amoka's heart shattered. The queens stood at the back, their victorious smirks hidden behind innocent expressions. That night, Amoka stormed into Cynthia's room, fury blazing in her eyes. I know you did this. You framed him. You destroyed his future. Cynthia leaned lazily against her mirror, painting her lips a glossy red. Prove it, she said coolly. Besides, you chose him over us. Now live with the consequences. Tears streamed down Amoka's face. You were my sisters. My family. How could you? Cynthia's smile didn't falter. Family is loyalty, Amoka. And you broke it first. The words stabbed like knives. Amoka knew, in that moment, that her choice was inevitable. She could no longer stand with the queens. Her heart belonged to Chike, and the war had only just begun. As Amoka lay awake that night, the weight of her decision pressed down on her. She could never go back. Episode 1 was ending, and the next chapter of her life would be written in fire, betrayal, and love. The fallout from Chike's suspension rippled through Prestige High like an earthquake. The students split into camps. Some defended him, pointing to his hard work and humble nature, while others mocked him as a consular cheat. The queens strutted through the halls, enjoying the chaos, their reputation intact. Amoka, however, found herself isolated. Once worshipped as part of the royal circle, she was now whispered about as the traitor queen. Her classmates avoided her, fearing Cynthia's wrath. Even teachers looked at her with pity. But deep inside, Amoka felt stronger. If they want war, I will give them war, she whispered to herself. Amoka couldn't bear the thought of Chike facing this alone. After school, she visited his roasted corn stand, only to find his mother sitting there, eyes red from crying. They want to take his scholarship, she said, voice breaking. Do they know what it means to us? I have nothing else to give my son but his education. Amoka knelt beside her, tears falling freely. Mama, I will fight for him. I promise you. In that moment, Amoka's resolve hardened. This was no longer just about love, it was about justice, about proving that truth could shine brighter than lies. Cynthia, always 2 steps ahead, sensed Amoka's growing defiance. She cornered her in the girls' restroom, lips curled into a sneer. Still playing the hero? Let me remind you, Amoka, you are nothing without us. You'll be a nobody, just like your convoy. Amoka's jaw clenched. I would rather be a nobody with love than a queen with lies. Cynthia's laugh echoed off the tiles, sharp and cruel. Careful. Words like that can ruin you. And when you fall, don't expect anyone to catch you. Her eyes glittered with malice. The war lines had deepened beyond repair. The principal announced that a final decision about Chike's scholarship would be made during the next school assembly. Pressure mounted from wealthy parents demanding his expulsion. The queen celebrated early, while Amoka spent sleepless nights planning how to save him. On the morning of the assembly, Amoka walked into school alone, dressed in her crispest uniform, her head held high. The whispers followed her, but her resolve didn't falter. If this was the end of her reign as a queen, then she would go down fighting for what was right. The assembly hall was packed. The principal stood at the podium, about to announce Chike's fate, when Amoka suddenly rose from her seat. Wait, she cried, her voice trembling but strong. All eyes turned to her. I know who planted the exam papers. It wasn't Chike. It was the queens. Gasps filled the hall. Cynthia's face hardened, Toke and Bimbo froze in shock. Amoka continued, her words slicing through the tension. They framed him because I chose to love him instead of playing their games. If speaking the truth cost me my crown as a queen, so be it. The hall erupted in chaos. The principal banged the table for order. Cynthia's smirk returned, icy and dangerous. Prove it, Amoka, she said coldly. Or watch your convoy disappear forever. Amoka stood trembling, the weight of her choice crushing her. She had finally declared war on her sisters. But could she truly defeat the queens and save Chike, or had she just sealed both their fates? The assembly hall remained in chaos long after Amoka's bold accusation. Teachers whispered, students shouted, and the principal struggled to maintain order. Cynthia sat calmly, a dangerous smile tugging at her lips. She looked like a predator, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. Later that day, Amoka found herself summoned to the principal's office. "Do you have evidence for these claims?" he asked sternly. Amoka's heart raced. She had no proof, just her gut and her knowledge of the queen's cruelty. "Not yet, sir," she admitted, "but I will find it." The principal sighed heavily, warning her that lies against the daughters of wealthy parents could ruin her. Still, Amoka refused to back down. By the next morning, Amoka's life had changed completely. Once admired, she was now the laughingstock of Prestige High. Students hissed traitor as she passed. The queen spread their venom quickly. "She's jealous," they told everyone. "She's bitter because Chike is finished." Even her parents noticed the strain. "Amoka, you are bringing shame to our family," her father scolded at dinner. "Forget this boy and focus on your studies." But Amoka shook her head. "I can't abandon him, Daddy. He's innocent." Her mother's eyes softened, but fear lingered in her voice. "Child, you don't know the power of these rich families. They can destroy us." Chike, suspended and humiliated, refused to bow his head. He spent his days helping his mother at the corn stand, his nights buried in his books. When Amoka came to see him, he greeted her with the same quiet dignity that first drew her to him. "They can take my scholarship," he said, "but they can't take my brain. I will still pass. I will still rise." Amoka's eyes filled with tears. "I will fight for you," she whispered. Chike smiled gently. "Don't fight for me, Amoka. Fight for the truth. If truth wins, I win too." His calmness only fueled her determination. Behind the glittering mask of the queens, cracks began to form. Bimbo, the loudest of the group, started questioning Cynthia's methods. "This is going too far. Framing him was bad enough, but now Amoka is openly fighting us. What if people believe her?" Cynthia dismissed her concerns with a scoff. "No one will believe Amoka without proof. And even if they do, who cares? Our parents own this school. Money speaks louder than truth." But Toke, usually timid, exchanged a nervous glance with Bimbo. For the first time, loyalty to Cynthia felt less like power and more like a prison. That night, while sneaking back from a late-night party, Toke saw something that froze her blood. Cynthia, their fearless leader, was climbing into a flashy car. Inside sat a man in his 40s, wearing a gold wristwatch that screamed wealth. Toke's breath caught as she recognized him, a married man, and was the father of one of their classmates. Cynthia kissed him boldly before disappearing into the car. Toke's heart pounded. This was the secret, the rotten core of their empire. She knew if Amoka ever discovered this, the queen's reign would collapse. But Toke also knew one thing: betraying Cynthia could cost her everything, even her safety. Toke stood trembling in the shadows, torn between fear and truth. Would she protect Cynthia's secret, or expose the scandal that could burn the queen's empire to the ground? Toke lay in bed, tossing and turning, her mind replaying what she had seen. Cynthia, their fearless leader, kissing a married man like it was nothing. The image haunted her. She had always followed Cynthia blindly, believing she was untouchable. But now, Toke saw the truth: their empire was built not just on lies, but on dangerous secrets. By morning, her eyes were red, her heart heavy. She wanted to tell Bimbo, but fear tightened her throat. If Cynthia could frame Chike so easily, what would she do to one of her own if betrayed? Toke stared at her reflection in the mirror and whispered, "How long can we keep living like this?" Amoka knew she needed proof, something concrete to expose Cynthia's schemes. Rumors and accusations wouldn't save Chike's scholarship. She began moving quietly, listening carefully in the hallways, following the faintest whispers. One afternoon, she overheard two junior students gossiping. I saw Cynthia near the school store with a man in a big car, one said. Amoka's heart skipped. Could this be the thread she needed to unravel Cynthia's power? She tucked the information away like a precious jewel, determined to use it at the right moment. The principal scheduled the final scholarship hearing for the following week. The atmosphere in Prestige High was electric. The wealthy parents had made their position clear, they wanted check out. The queens strutted confidently, certain their victory was sealed. But cracks widened. Bimbo began avoiding Amoka's eyes, ashamed. Toke, jittery and restless, snapped at the slightest comment. Even Cynthia noticed. You two are acting strange, she said coldly during their lunch break. Remember, queens stick together. If any of you betray me, her voice trailed off, but the threat was clear. Bimbo and Toke nodded silently, fear gripping their hearts. Chike met Amoka at his corn stand, his hands blackened from charcoal, his face lined with exhaustion. Yet his eyes held fire. Amoka, don't waste your energy on me. Even if I lose the scholarship, I will not stop fighting for my future. Amoka shook her head fiercely. No, Chike. This is bigger than just a scholarship. If they can destroy you, they can destroy anyone who stands up to them. Cynthia has to fall. Chike gazed at her with admiration, his voice soft. You're stronger than you know. Just be careful. Queens like Cynthia don't go down without blood. Toke couldn't take it anymore. One evening, she cornered Amoka in the empty library, her hands trembling. Amoka, she whispered, glancing around nervously, you're right about Cynthia. She's not who she pretends to be. Amoka's heart pounded. What do you mean? Toke's lips quivered as she spoke. She has a sugar daddy. A married man. If you expose that, Cynthia's finished. But if she finds out I told you, I'm dead. Her eyes filled with tears. Please, Amoka. Be careful. Cynthia is dangerous. Amoka's mind spun. She finally had the weapon to end Cynthia's reign, but using it could destroy them all. Amoka walked home that night with Toke's words echoing in her head, she has a sugar daddy. A married man. Her steps were heavy, her chest tight. She finally had the truth, the very evidence that could topple Cynthia's empire, but she also knew the danger it carried. If she exposed Cynthia recklessly, the backlash could consume not just her, but also Chike. At home, she sat by her window, staring at the moon. Her mother knocked softly. You're carrying the world on your shoulders, my child, she said gently. Amoka swallowed hard. Mama, what if telling the truth ruins everything? Her mother smiled faintly. Truth always ruins lies, Amoka. But it also sets the innocent free. The queens gathered in the cafeteria, their laughter ringing louder than ever. But Cynthia's eyes were sharp, scanning every corner. Something felt off. Toke had been unusually quiet, avoiding her gaze. Bimbo fidgeted constantly, her usual arrogance dulled. Cynthia leaned back in her chair, a slow smile creeping across her face. Funny, she said softly, how rats get nervous when they smell poison. Both Toke and Bimbo stiffened. Cynthia leaned closer, her whisper cold as ice. If anyone dares betray me, they won't live to regret it. The threat hung in the air like smoke, choking them. Amoka, watching from across the hall, knew she had to act before fear silenced her only ally. The school buzzed with rumors as the scholarship hearing approached. Parents whispered in the principal's office, teachers muttered in staff meetings, and students speculated wildly. Some said Chike would be expelled no matter what. Others claimed Amoka had something up her sleeve. Meanwhile, Amoka met secretly with Toke in the empty science lab. If you testify, we can end Cynthia's reign, Amoka urged. Toke shook her head violently. You don't understand, she'll destroy me. She knows things about my family, things I can't risk coming out. Amoka's chest tightened. She realized she might have to go to war alone. Late that evening, Bimbo cracked. She barged into Amoka's hostel room, tears streaking her face. "I can't do this anymore," she cried. "Cynthia is evil. She made us plan those exam papers, she made us lie, and now she's threatening us too. I don't want to be part of this." Amoka clasped her hand. "Then stand with me. Together, we can expose her." Bimbo trembled, torn between fear and freedom. "If she finds out I switch sides, she'll ruin me." "But I'll think about it." For the first time, Amoka felt a glimmer of hope. Cynthia's empire was crumbling from within. The eve of the scholarship hearing was electric. Cynthia strutted through the dormitory like a queen preparing for coronation, her confidence unshaken. "Tomorrow, check is finished." Amoka too, she whispered to herself, her reflection smacking back at her. Meanwhile, Amoka knelt by her bed, whispering a prayer. "God, give me strength. Help me fight this battle." Her phone buzzed with a text from Chike. "No matter what happens tomorrow, thank you for standing by me." Her heart clenched. She knew tomorrow wasn't just about clearing Chike's name. It was about survival, truth, and tearing down an empire of lies. As midnight fell, Prestige High braced for a showdown that would change everything. The school hall was packed tighter than ever before. Students, teachers, even some parents filled the wooden benches. Whispers buzzed like angry bees. The scholarship hearing had become more than a disciplinary case, it was a spectacle. Everyone wanted to see if the corn seller would fall, or if Amoka's rebellion would shake the empire of the queens. The principal sat at the center table, stern and unreadable. To his left, the vice principal tapped impatiently on a notepad. Cynthia entered with a smirk, flanked by Bimbo and Toke, her crown invisible but undeniable. Amoka walked in moments later, her step steady, her heart pounding. She spotted Chike seated at the front, his hands clasped tightly. Their eyes met, and he nodded once, silent strength that steadied her trembling soul. The principal cleared his throat. "We are here to determine whether Chike is guilty of examination malpractice. Testimonies will be heard." Before anyone else could speak, Cynthia shot to her feet. "Sir, with all due respect, there is no need to waste time. We all know he is guilty." Her voice dripped with arrogance as she gestured to the crowd. "Who here doesn't know he's poor? Poor people always look for shortcuts." He couldn't resist the temptation of leaked papers. "I even saw him acting suspicious near the lockers." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the hall. Amoka clenched her fist, anger burning hot. Cynthia was twisting lies into truth, and the crowd was swallowing it whole. Amoka rose, her voice sharp and clear. "Lies. All lies." The hall fell silent. "You framed him, Cynthia. You planted those papers. You couldn't stand that I chose to love him instead of living your fake, poison life." Gasps erupted. All eyes turned to Cynthia. The principal narrowed his gaze. "Amoka, that is a serious accusation. Do you have proof?" Amoka's heart pounded. This was the moment. Slowly, she raised her chin. "Yes, sir. Proof that Cynthia is not who she pretends to be. Proof that she is funded by a married man, her sugar daddy." The hall exploded into chaos. Teachers leapt to their feet. Students screamed. Cynthia's smirk vanished for the first time. Cynthia's face drained of color, but she quickly forced a laugh. "Ridiculous. She's making this up to cover for her boyfriend." But before she could continue, a voice rang out from the back. "It's true." Head snapped around. Toke stood trembling, her face pale but her voice steady. "I saw her with him. He's a married man. She's been lying to all of us." The hall went wild. Cynthia spun on Toke, fury blazing. "You traitor. You dare betray me? Bimbo buried her face in her hands, sobbing. The empire of the queens was crumbling before everyone's eyes. For the first time, Amoka felt the balance of power shift. Cynthia wasn't untouchable anymore. The principal banged the table furiously. Order! Order in this hall. Silence slowly returned, broken only by whispers and heavy breathing. His eyes, usually calm, blazed with controlled anger. Enough lies. This matter has disgraced our school. Check, you are cleared of the accusation, there is no proof against you. Your scholarship remains. Cheers erupted from the students, while Chak bowed his head in relief. The principal's gaze shifted to Cynthia. As for you, your behavior will be dealt with separately. Prestige High is no place for corruption. Cynthia's lips trembled, but she forced her chin up, defiance still clinging to her. Amoka turned to Chak, tears of joy filling her eyes. For the first time in weeks, hope had returned. But Cynthia wasn't finished. As the hall emptied, her eyes locked on Amoka's with deadly promise. This war isn't over, she whispered. Prestige High had never witnessed such a scandal. Cynthia, once untouchable, now walked the halls with whispers chasing her like shadows. Sugar daddy. Married man. Disgrace. The gossip spread faster than wildfire. Teachers avoided her. Students mocked her behind her back. For the first time, the Queen of Queens tasted humiliation. But humiliation didn't break her, it hardened her. Late that night, she sat before her mirror, her eyes bloodshot but blazing with fury. They think they've won. Amoka thinks she's queen now. She clenched her fist. I will destroy them. If I must burn, I'll drag everyone into the fire with me. Toke's betrayal haunted her. Though the truth was out, she couldn't shake the fear in Cynthia's eyes when she whispered, "This war isn't over." Every creak in the hostel at night made her jump. Every glance from Cynthia felt like a dagger. Bimbo tried to comfort her, but she too was terrified. Cynthia is dangerous, Bimbo whispered. We should stay away from her. But Toke shook her head. Stay away. Do you think she'll let us go so easily? No, she'll come for us too. And when she does, we might not survive it. While the school buzzed with Cynthia's downfall, Amoka and Chak found a rare moment of peace. They sat by the corn stand, laughing softly as the city lights flickered in the distance. For the first time, their love wasn't shadowed by lies. You saved me, Chak said, his voice tender. If not for you, I'd be gone from Prestige High. Amoka smiled through tears. We saved each other. But we can't relax yet. Cynthia won't forgive. She'll come back harder. Chak nodded, his jaw set. Then we'll face her together. Their hands intertwined, their bond stronger than ever, but danger loomed close. Cynthia knew her old tricks wouldn't work anymore. She needed something bigger, something that would crush Amoka completely. And she found it. A flash drive. Inside it, videos, messages, and secrets collected over the years, evidence of students cheating, teachers taking bribes, even prefects sneaking out at night. This school worships Amoka now. Cynthia sneered. Let's see what happens when I reveal her precious Chak's darkest secret. She smirked, clicking on a folder labeled Chak, Father's Past. Her eyes widened. A slow, cruel smile spread across her face. Perfect. If I can't break him, I'll break the bloodline he came from. The scholarship hearing had cleared Chak, but a new storm was rising. Cynthia leaked hints of explosive revelations to students. Whispers grew again, did you hear? Chak's family has a secret. Amoka felt the shift, the unease creeping back into the halls. That evening, as she left the library, she found Cynthia waiting in the shadows. Enjoy your little victory, Cynthia whispered, her voice like poison. But soon, everyone will see the truth. And when I reveal what I know, not even love will save you. Amoka froze, realizing the war wasn't over, it had only reached a deadlier level. Cynthia had a new weapon, and this time, she was aiming for blood. For a few days, Prestige High seemed almost normal. Chike returned to classes, his scholarship intact, and Amoka walked by his side with newfound confidence. Students whispered less, teachers looked relieved, and even Bimbo and Toke seemed quieter, as if trying to disappear into the background. But Amoka's heart knew better. Cynthia was too quiet. The girl who once ruled the school didn't fade into the shadows without a plan. Each time Amoka caught her in the hallway, she saw a cold smile that promised something darker was on the way. One evening, Cynthia sat alone in the computer lab, the glow of the screen reflecting in her eyes. On her flash drive sat the weapon that would end everything, secrets she had collected for months. Bribes. Cheating. Scandals. But one folder was more precious than gold, Chike's father. She clicked it open, scanning documents and photos. The truth stunned even her. So this is his bloodline, she whispered, her smile curling wickedly. If the boy won't fall by his own sins, let him fall by his father's. She copied the files to her phone, her plan nearly complete. Tomorrow, the entire school would witness her final strike. That night, Toke couldn't hold her fear any longer. She slipped into Amoka's dorm room, her face pale. Amoka, Cynthia has something. Something about Chike's family. I don't know what it is, but she's planning to use it. Amoka's chest tightened. What do you mean? I saw her with that flash drive. She's waiting for the right moment to humiliate you both. Toke's eyes filled with tears. Please be careful. This one won't just ruin Chike. It could ruin you too. Amoka's heart raced, but she shook her head. Thank you, Toke. But I won't let her win. The next morning, an emergency assembly was called. The principal, confused but curious, sat at the head table as Cynthia strutted to the podium. Gasps rippled through the hall. She had never looked more dangerous, dressed sharply, eyes blazing with vengeance. Prestige High is rotting with lies, she announced, her voice dripping with drama. And since some people think they are saints, let me show you their truth. You cheer for Chike, the scholarship boy. You pity his poor widowed mother. Well, let me tell you about his father. A hush fell over the hall. Students leaned forward, breaths held. Cynthia smiled like a queen reclaiming her throne. His father is not who you think. And when you hear the truth, you'll spit on the very name of Chike. Cynthia held up her phone, projecting files onto the screen. Photos. Newspaper clippings. Documents. Gasps exploded around the hall as the words flashed, fraud suspect declared wanted. Behold, Cynthia shouted, Chike's father, the criminal. A fraudster who ran from the law. This is the boy Amoka calls her true love. This is the family our school celebrates with a scholarship. Chaos erupted. Students screamed. Teachers stood frozen. Chike's face turned ashen, his hands trembling. Amoka clutched his arm, her own tears welling. Cynthia's laughter ran out above the noise, sharp and triumphant. The hall dissolved into chaos as Amoka and Chike stood shattered in the spotlight. Cynthia had struck her deadliest blow, and now the entire school questioned everything. The assembly hall was a battlefield. Students shouted, teachers argued, and the principal banged the table in vain. Silence. Order, he roared, but the scandal Cynthia unleashed was bigger than anything Prestige High had ever seen. Chike stood frozen, staring at the projected headlines, fraud suspect declared wanted. His legs felt weak, shame crashing over him like a tidal wave. Amoka clutched his arm tightly. This doesn't change who you are, she whispered desperately. But her words were drowned out by the jeers. Fraud boy. Like father, like son. Cynthia's laughter rose above them all. For the first time, it seemed Amoka and Chike's love couldn't survive the weight of disgrace. After the chaos, Chike didn't return to class. He disappeared. Amoka searched frantically until she found him at his corn stand, sitting silently beside his mother. The woman's face was lined with grief, her hands trembling as she peeled roasted corn. "Amoka, it's true," she whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. "Chike's father was accused years ago. He ran from the law, and I never saw him again. I raised my son alone, praying his father's sins wouldn't stain him. But now," her voice broke. Chike gripped her hand, his face burning with shame. "Mama, I'm not him. I'll never be him." Amoka knelt beside them, her voice fierce. "We will prove it. We'll clear his name. Cynthia won't win." Back at the hostel, the queens were no longer united. Bimbo paced the room, her nerves frayed. "Cynthia, this is too much. You've dragged the boys' family into this." Toke nodded, her eyes full of guilt. "You're destroying innocent people. This isn't power, Cynthia, it's evil." Cynthia's glare was sharp enough to cut glass. "Shut up. You think people care about innocence? Power is all that matters. And I'm still the only one here who has it." She leaned close, her voice like venom. "Cross me again, and you'll regret it." Bimbo's lip quivered, but for the first time, neither she nor Toke bowed. A storm was brewing inside the once mighty queens. The next day, Amoka walked through the school corridors with her head high, though whispers and insults followed her like shadows. "Fraud girl. Corn boy's girlfriend." The label stung, but her heart burned hotter than her fear. She cornered Toke near the lockers. "Help me," Amoka said firmly. "You know Cynthia's secrets. If we gather enough proof, we can not only clear Chike's name but also expose her once and for all." Toke hesitated, trembling. "If she finds out," Amoka cut her off. "She already destroyed us. You can either let her win, or you can finally fight back." Toke's eyes darted around, but she gave a small, shaky nod. The tide was beginning to turn. Cynthia wasn't done. If Amoka wanted war, she would give her one. Late that evening, she arranged a meeting with a group of notorious boys from outside the school, street hustlers who owed her favors. "I want her destroyed," Cynthia hissed. "Amoka. Chike. Anyone who stands with them." The boys grinned wickedly. "Consider it done. By the time we're finished, nobody will dare mention their names again." Cynthia's lips curled into a satisfied smile. She had humiliated them in the hall, but now she was ready to crush them completely. Amoka and Chike had just begun to fight for truth, but Cynthia's deadliest strike was already on its way, and this time, it wasn't just reputations at risk. The next morning, Prestige High buzzed with an unusual tension. Students whispered about strange faces lurking near the school gates, rough-looking young men leaning against motorbikes, their eyes scanning the compound like predators. Amoka noticed them first. Her stomach twisted as one of the boys smirked at her, flashing a gold tooth. She hurried past, but their laughter followed. Inside, Chike caught her arm. "Don't look back," he warned. "They are here for us." Amoka's heart raced. Cynthia's plan had moved beyond rumors and humiliation, she had brought danger into their very walls. It happened during lunch. The queens strutted in as usual, Cynthia leading the pack, her head high. Suddenly, 3 of the street thugs stormed through the doors, scattering trays and screaming insults. "Where's the fraud boy?" one shouted, eyes scanning the terrified students. Chike stood, his fist clenched, ready to defend himself. Before they could reach him, Amoka stepped forward. "Leave him alone," she cried, her voice trembling but defiant. The thugs laughed. "So this is the girl? The queen who fell for poverty love?" One shoved her hard, and the cafeteria erupted in chaos. Teachers rushed in, whistles blowing, but the damage was done. The message was clear. Cynthia's reach was deadly. That evening, Bimbo couldn't take it anymore. She barged into Cynthia's room, her voice shaking with rage. "Are you insane? Bringing thugs into school? Someone could have been hurt." Cynthia smirked, brushing her wig. "Relax. They only came to scare them. Fear is the best teacher." But Bimbo snapped. "This isn't power anymore, Cynthia, it's madness." Toke, sitting silently in the corner, finally nodded. "She's right. You're destroying lives, not protecting our throne." Cynthia's eyes blazed, her voice sharp as a whip. "If you're not with me, you're against me. And traitors don't last long." The room fell into icy silence. Bimbo's loyalty had cracked beyond repair. The next day, the principal stormed into assembly, his face thunderous. "Prestige High is not a battlefield," he roared. "Bringing outsiders to intimidate our students is a crime. If anyone here is found responsible, expulsion will be the least of their worries." His eyes swept the hall, lingering on Cynthia. Cynthia only smirked, her mask flawless. But for the first time, murmurs spread openly among the students. Some whispered about her sugar daddy. Others hinted she was behind the chaos. Amoka watched carefully. Cynthia's empire was still standing, but the foundation was cracking fast. If they pushed harder, it would collapse. That evening, Amoka found Bimbo waiting by the back of the hostel, her face pale but determined. "I can't do this anymore," Bimbo whispered. "Cynthia has lost her mind. If you want to fight her, I'll help you." Amoka's eyes widened. "Are you serious?" "Yes. I know her moves, her contacts, even where she keeps her flash drive. But if she finds out I betrayed her," her voice shook. Amoka squeezed her hand. "You won't stand alone. With you, me, Chaik, and Toke, we can end this." In the shadows of Prestige High, a new alliance was born, an alliance strong enough to bring down the last queen standing. But Cynthia's vengeance was far from over. Amoka, Chaik, Bimbo, and Toke met in the abandoned science lab after lights out. The flicker of a single candle lit their nervous faces. For the first time, enemies sat side by side as allies. Bimbo broke the silence. "Cynthia keeps everything on her flash drive, messages, videos, even names of her contacts. If we can get it, she's finished." Toke nodded, her voice shaking. "She hides it in her dormitory, inside her wig box. I've seen her take it out at night." Amoka's eyes burned with determination. "Then that's our target. Once we have proof, we'll expose her to the whole school, the principal, even her parents. She won't escape this time." Chaik nodded. "But we have to be careful. If she catches us, she won't hesitate to destroy us all." Later that night, Toke couldn't sleep. She sat on her bunk, staring at the ceiling, guilt gnawing at her heart. What if Cynthia finds out? What if she hurts us, she whispered. Bimbo turned to her, eyes fierce. She already hurt us. She nearly ruined Chaik's future, she dragged outsiders into our school, and she uses a married man to fuel her pride. Enough is enough, Toke. For the first time, Toke nodded firmly, her fear giving way to resolve. The queens were no more, only survivors fighting to reclaim their dignity. Meanwhile, Cynthia grew restless. She could feel the shift in the air, students avoided her, whispers followed her, and even Bimbo and Toke barely looked at her anymore. She stared at her reflection in the mirror, her crown of false confidence slipping. They think they can turn against me, she muttered. Her fingers traced the flash drive hidden in her wig box. They don't know who they are dealing with. She clenched her jaw. If they want war, I give them a war they'll never forget. Amoka and Bimbo made their first move during lunch break. While Chike distracted students with a heated debate near the cafeteria, Amoka and Bimbo slipped into Cynthia's dorm room. Their hearts raced as they dug through her belongings, shoes, clothes, bags. Finally, Bimbo lifted the wig box. "There," she whispered, hands trembling. But before they could open it, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Cynthia's voice carried closer, sharp and mocking. "You think you can hide from me, Toke? Answer me." Amoka froze. They had only seconds. She shoved the wig box back in place, grabbed Bimbo's hand, and they slipped out through the window just as Cynthia entered. Breathless, Amoka and Bimbo regrouped with Chike and Toke behind the school fence. The near miss had rattled them, but it also stilled their resolve. "Next time, we won't fail," Amoka declared. Chike looked at each of them, his eyes blazing. "If we do this, there's no turning back. Cynthia won't forgive us. We'll either end her reign completely, or she'll end us." They joined hands under the dim moonlight. Amoka's voice rang firm, "For truth. For freedom. For love. We fight together." The alliance was forged in fire, but Cynthia's paranoia meant she was watching closer than ever. The final showdown was inevitable. Cynthia's paranoia reached fever pitch. She barely slept, clutching her flash drive as if it were her crown. Even in class, her eyes darted constantly, scanning for betrayal. Students whispered louder now, some mocking her, others fearing her wrath. That afternoon, during break, she cornered Toke in the hallway. "I know you've been talking," Cynthia hissed, her nails digging into Toke's arm. "Don't think I won't crush you." Toke trembled but managed to whisper, "You're losing, Cynthia. Everyone sees it." Cynthia's eyes blazed. "Then I remind them who I am." The alliance knew they couldn't wait any longer. Amoka laid out the plan in hushed tones. "Tomorrow, during sports practice, Cynthia will be outside. That's our chance to strike. Bimbo and I will get the flash drive. Toke, you'll cover us. Chike, be ready to copy everything as soon as we have it." Chike nodded, though worry lined his face. "If she catches us," Amoka met his gaze. "Then it ends today, one way or another." Their hands tightened together. This wasn't just about exposing Cynthia anymore. It was about ending her reign forever. The next day, the plan swung into motion. Cynthia strutted across the sports field, backing orders at juniors like a general, completely unaware of the silent war brewing. Meanwhile, Amoka and Bimbo slipped into her dorm room, their breaths shallow. They tore through her belongings until Bimbo lifted the wig box with trembling hands. "Here." She flipped it open, and there it was. The flash drive. Amoka snatched it, her heart hammering. "Let's go." But just as they turned, the door creaked. Cynthia's shadow fell across the room. "What do we have here?" Cynthia's voice dripped venom as she stepped inside, her eyes locked on the flash drive clutched in Amoka's fist. Her laughter filled the room. "You really thought you could steal from me?" Before Amoka could speak, Cynthia lunged, knocking the box from Bimbo's hands. The room exploded into chaos, wigs, clothes, and shoes flying as they wrestled. "Traitors!" Cynthia screamed, clawing at Amoka's arm. Bimbo shoved her back, shouting, "It's over, Cynthia." But Cynthia's strength was fueled by fury, and she wasn't letting go. The struggle ended with Amoka shoving Cynthia hard against the bed, buying just enough time to bolt. She and Bimbo sprinted down the hall, Cynthia's screams echoing behind them. "You can't run from me. I'll destroy you all." They burst outside, gasping for air, clutching the flash drive like stolen treasure. Chike and Toke were waiting under the mango tree. Amoka handed him the drive, her hands shaking. "Copy everything. Tonight." Chike nodded grimly, sliding it into his laptop. But across the courtyard, Cynthia watched them from the shadows, her face twisted with rage. She wasn't broken yet. If they wanted war, she would fight until the last breath. That night, Jack's fingers flew across his laptop keyboard, copying files from Cynthia's flash drive. Amoka, Bimbo, and Toke leaned in, their eyes widening as documents and videos appeared. Evidence of bribes, cheating scandals, even Cynthia's messages arranging her sugar daddy's visits. This is enough to bury her forever, Bimbo whispered, stunned. Amoka's chest tightened. Tomorrow, we take it to the principal. No more hiding. Cynthia ends now. Jack nodded firmly. But be ready, she won't go down without a fight. The next morning, whispers filled the air as Amoka and her allies marched into the principal's office with the flash drive. The principal's stern face softened as he watched the damning evidence on screen. So this is the truth, he muttered, shaking his head. Cynthia has disgraced this school beyond measure. He looked at Amoka. We'll call a full assembly this afternoon. This cannot be hidden. Amoka's heart pounded. It was finally happening, the truth would shine. But outside, Cynthia paced like a trapped lioness, sensing her empire was seconds from crumbling. By afternoon, the hall was packed once again. Students murmured nervously, teachers whispered among themselves. Cynthia strutted in, her chin high, masking the storm inside her. Amoka stood on the stage beside the principal, trembling but determined. The principal cleared his throat. Evidence has been presented against one of our senior students. Videos. Documents. Proof of corruption and misconduct. Gasps rippled through the crowd as Cynthia's secrets flashed on the projector, her messages, her bribes, even her sugar daddy's car waiting outside the school gates. Lies. Cynthia screamed, her face red. All of this is fake. Amoka forged it. But the hall was no longer hers. The whispers turned into shouts, shame. Disgrace. Queen of trouble. Cornered, Cynthia's mask shattered. Her laughter was wild, desperate. You think this makes you saints? All of you are hypocrites. I may have sins, but so do your precious teachers, your parents, even you. She pulled out her phone. I still have recordings. Secrets. If I fall, I'll drag everyone down with me. The hall froze. Fear rippled through the crowd. Teachers paled, students exchanged uneasy glances. Cynthia's voice rose higher. You never destroy me, I'm bigger than this school. For a moment, it seemed she might win through sheer madness. Then, Toke stepped forward, her voice shaking but loud enough to cut through the chaos. No, Cynthia. You've already destroyed yourself. All eyes turned. Tears streamed down Toke's face as she confessed, we lied about Chike. We planted the exam papers because Cynthia told us to. She made us betray our friends, our school, even ourselves. I can't carry this anymore. The hall erupted in gasps. Bimbo stepped beside her, nodding through tears. It's true. She controlled us. But we're done being her slaves. Cynthia's face twisted in horror as the last of her allies turned against her. The empire of the queens collapsed in front of the entire school. Cynthia's scream echoed through the hall as she lunged for Amoka. Teachers rushed to hold her back. The once mighty queen was reduced to chaos, and her reign was over. But the final lesson was still to come. The hall was still ringing with Toke's confession when Cynthia snapped. Her scream tore through the silence as she broke free from the teachers restraining her and lunged at Amoka. You ruined me, she shrieked, her nails clawing wildly. Students scattered, teachers rushed forward, but Cynthia fought like a cornered animal. Amoka stumbled back, her heart pounding, but she didn't break. She stood her ground. You ruined yourself, Cynthia. Your lies, your greed, they destroyed you. Cynthia froze, her chest heaving, eyes bloodshot. For the first time, she looked less like a queen and more like a broken girl. But the hatred in her eyes hadn't dimmed, it burned hotter than ever. After the chaos, the principal dismissed the assembly. But Cynthia's revelation about Chike's father still haunted everyone. The whispers refused to die, fraudster's son. Maybe the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Even with Cynthia disgraced, the stigma lingered. That evening, Amoka visited Chike. She found him sitting outside his home, staring into the night. "They'll never let me forget," he muttered bitterly. "Even if Cynthia is gone, my father's shadow will follow me forever." Amoka knelt beside him, gripping his hand. "Then we fight the shadow too. Together." Her voice was steady, but inside, she feared the battle ahead. Determined to clear Chike's name, Amoka, Bimbo, and Toke dug into Cynthia's flash drive again. Hidden among her files was correspondence between Cynthia's sugar daddy and a lawyer, letters that mentioned Chike's father. After hours of piecing together the truth, they found it: Chike's father had been falsely accused by corrupt businessmen. He wasn't a fraudster, he was a scapegoat. The discovery sent shockwaves through the group. "This changes everything," Amoka whispered. "We can prove his innocence." Chike's eyes filled with tears for the first time. "After all these years, my father wasn't guilty." Amoka nodded, determination blazing in her chest. "Tomorrow, the whole truth comes out." Cynthia's reign was over, but now the real battle began, redeeming a family name that had been buried in shame for years. The principal called a final assembly, this time not for judgment, but for closure. The air was heavy with anticipation. Everyone knew this was the end of an era for Prestige High. Amoka stood at the podium, her hands trembling slightly as she held up Cynthia's flash drive. "Cynthia tried to use this to destroy us," she began, her voice steady, "but inside, we found more than her crimes. We found the truth." She clicked play, and the projector lit up with documents and emails from lawyers and businessmen, proving Chike's father had been falsely accused. Gasps filled the hall as the evidence unfolded. Chike sat at the front, tears welling in his eyes as his mother clutched his hand. For years, they had carried shame that was never theirs to bear. And now, before the entire school, their honor was restored. The hall was silent until, slowly, one teacher began to clap. Then another. Soon the entire hall erupted in thunderous applause. "Innocent! Justice!" Students shouted. Chike rose, his chest heaving, and for the first time, he smiled without fear. The shadow of his father's name had finally lifted. But the finale wasn't complete without Cynthia's fate. She sat slumped at the back of the hall, her once immaculate wig askew, her face streaked with tears and fury. The principal's voice was heavy as he spoke. "Cynthia, your actions have disgraced this school, your friends, and yourself. You will no longer remain a student of Prestige High." Her scream echoed through the hall, but no one rose to defend her. Even Bimbo and Toke turned away, their faces filled with regret but also relief. Cynthia stormed out, her crown shattered, her empire reduced to ashes. Amoka turned to Chike, her voice breaking. "We made it." Chike pulled her close, whispering, "Not because of me. Because of us. Because you never gave up." Tears streamed down their faces as the hall erupted in cheers once more. The final bell rang, and as the students filed out, the air felt lighter, freer. Prestige High had changed forever. Bimbo and Toke approached Amoka, tears in their eyes. "Thank you," Bimbo whispered. "For saving us too." Amoka hugged them both. The queens were no more, but from the ashes rose something truer: friendship, love, and dignity. As the sun set behind the school gates, Chike sold his last roasted corn of the day, with Amoka by his side, laughter bubbling between them. The glamour of quick money had faded, but in its place was something brighter, stronger, eternal. Prestige High would never forget the fall of its queens. Anamoka would never forget the lesson that guided her life forever: quick money fades, but true love lasts.